transition us to rapid fire. You ready? I'm going to ask
Hmm.
you a series of what and how questions. It'll be pretty easy. I heard you say a couple things that I noted down here, and um, I just suspect in talking to you, you may come up with your own questions. And if that happens, go for it. You can add your own questions into our list. You ready?
Sure.
All right. Let's start with what is pancreatic cancer?
Oh. Well, cancer generally is really a diverse set of diseases. It's a group of diseases that has a set of common hallmarks. And pancreatic cancer, it's odd the way we do this in this country. We categorize the cancer by the tissue of origin, and that just means that they found the tumor in my pancreas. And really what we ought to be doing, I think, is characterizing them by the type of mutation. Now, most pancreatic cancer has a KRAS mutation, and secondarily, a minority has a BRCA mutation, which I'm sure which I know you've talked about here before. I had one even more rare. I had an ALK fusion and a SMAD4. So those are my two drivers. But even though, and that shows up in lung cancer more often than pancreatic cancer, but I'm not a lung cancer patient because the tissue of origin was pancreatic cancer. And let me just add a couple of other things. It's highly lethal. It doesn't happen that often, but when it does, it's highly lethal. And I'll tell you the reason why. And this is the number one thing. It's because number one reason is because it's typically detected so late. For example, by the time it gets detected, by the time someone has symptoms, it's usually spread to stage 4. And then the survival is a lot less. The odds are a lot less than if you catch it early. And that's why I got so lucky, because I caught it at stage 2B before there were any symptoms. And only because I was just checking boxes and taking tests. And I took a blood test that everyone told me didn't work, but it turns out that it did. And so number one, they catch it. We tend to catch it too late. So everybody should be taking liquid biopsy. Number two, the pancreatic cancer. It's a little odd because there's relatively in the tumor tissue itself, the tumor microenvironment. It tends to have like this fibrous shell and fewer actual cancer cells. And that's bad because it's hard for the immune system to attack it. It's hard for the chemotherapy to get into it. So it's a tough one to kill that way. And then thirdly, it's because of the nature of the mutations. They're just tough mutations to kill typically. That's way more than you wanted, but that's what you get.
All right, we're going to make the rapid fire a tiny bit more rapid with the next
Okay, sorry.
You're all good. My questions are hard though, so I'm sorry. Putting you on the spot. Is it important for patients to get a second opinion?
Oh my God, yes. Um, I can't. That's yes, absolutely. And second, not just second, but as many as you can get. Like I talk to oncologists from all over the world because I talked to a surgeon here at a major university here in California who came here from Europe, and he made this offhand comment during our talk, and he said, the U.S. is like way behind in terms of standard of care for pancreatic cancer surgery. What the hell? This is the US. How can that be? So, and he just it was a throwaway line. But I hung up and I started calling doctors in other countries. I called doctors in Spain, in Germany, and UK and Asia. Now, unfortunately, most of the time you have to pay to get that consultation. Like $300 to $500, something like that, 200 to 500, somewhere in there. And I know a lot of people, they just don't have the resources to do that. And that's unfortunate. But if you can't do that, then the next best thing is to talk to whoever you can get in. So all right, these are rapid fire, so I'm not going to go any further, but suffice it to say, yes, get involved with as many medical institutions as possible, get as much opinion as you can.
All right, what is the best piece of advice you would give to someone newly diagnosed with pancreatic cancer?
Um, well, I think I got to be careful how I phrase this, but my best piece of advice is that you, the patient, are going to have to be super proactive. And you are going to have to take a measure of personal responsibility. And that doesn't mean that this is your fault, doesn't mean that you did something wrong. What it means is that you really should make massive. There's very little you can do as the patient. You're not going to prescribe your own chemo. You're not going to go get your own targeted therapies. You're not going to do your own surgery, right? Well, what can you do? Well, you can make the lifestyle changes that I think really, really contribute to this cancer. And it's well documented and it's out there. And personally, that was the one thing that, and plus it'll give you a good feeling to know there's something you can be in control of, and you can be in control of your own lifestyle changes.
Okay. What is the best piece of advice you would give to loved ones in supporting a patient like you?
Um, um, I feel like every answer I'm giving you is probably the opposite of what you want to hear.
No, I don't. I don't walk in. Trust me, I do not walk in with answers I want to hear. I really don't. If I did that, we would be failing miserably on this.
Okay, well, so here's the advice I would give. Yes, of course, be supportive. Be super careful, as to what you say to a cancer patient. And, I'm a lawyer, so words are my stock and trade. So maybe I kind of dwell on why did they use that word more than other people? But be super careful. And the things and know what you should say and what you should not say. What you should say is, how can I help? Do you need a ride? Call me if you need anything. Be supportive that way. Do not say, well, everyone's got to die sometime. I could go on for an hour. I heard that from people. Do not say, I think for most people, it would have been easier, do not, I want to hear what you think, of course. I really don't need to hear any kind of crazy, like I had a couple people, okay, here's another one. Do not say, this was your fault because you took the COVID vaccine. I heard that from a couple people. Do not say, please don't get chemotherapy, and please don't do surgery because I've heard both, that's bad. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm going to trust my doctors. I don't want medical advice from my friends. So don't give medical advice. I just, do not say, oh, you should forego all standard medical treatment. And again, I heard this, and go sit on a beach in Mexico and drink fruit juice instead. Because I have a friend who, for tens of thousands of dollars, cures 100% of their patients. Says, that's great, fine, and you can offer it up, but don't push me on it because I am not going to do that. So just be careful. Be careful what you say. Here's another one. Do not say, how much time do you have left? I heard that also. People, at the time, it bothered me a lot. Now I just look back on it and it's like, oh, well, they just didn't know what to say.
Okay, this is my last question for you. So wrap up. What do you wish you had known before you got diagnosed?
Oh, my God. These questions are rapid fire, but I could go on for an hour about each of them. I wish I'd known about vaccines and their effectiveness. I wish I'd known about metabolic health. I wish and so many things about that. There's so many things. In fact, I was doing everything. I thought I was healthy. I was exercising. I was vegan, but looking back on it, I was doing everything you would do if you were trying to get pancreatic cancer. I just wish I'd known more about health back then. And I'd wish I'd known more about non-standard of care treatments that are available. That would have been useful because it took me forever of reading PubMed documents to eventually figure all this stuff out. And I'm not saying I've got it all figured out, but I have a plan. I put it that way.
Well, I